Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we are discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 5, Episode 1, Apocalypse Rising. Sisko, O'Brien, Worf, and Solid Odo infiltrate the Klingon Empire in an attempt to expose Gowron as a changeling.
But there's a twist.
There's a pretty good twist.
An excellent one that I didn't see coming at all. And it is revealed so organically because Odo would see that. It would stick out to him.
It's the perfect kind of twist because it's believable in context of the story, and it's pitched so that you notice it exactly when the characters do.
Really well done. And I like how it was set up because the founders would do something like that. They are good at having the link and projecting whatever they want, so they could set up something easily, I would think.
They're good at everything.
Yeah. And so that they did that to gently guide Odo into thinking this specific thing. I could see them doing that, and then how it's discovered is believable as well. It all comes together really nicely.
And I'm glad Gowron was not a changeling because I love that guy.
I was disappointed thinking we wouldn't get more of his wild eyes.
He could stare anyone down. It was quite prominent towards the end of this episode.
Having a staring contest with him sounds terrifying.
That's how he got to be High Chancellor.
He challenged someone to a staring contest?
Yes, and defeated them.
They
died.
Handedly. So we're off to a great start with Season 5.
Yep. I thought this episode was very tense. It reminds me of classic Mission Impossible TV series. It's just nail-biting for a lot of it. Even though there was a fair few silly things about this episode, it didn't really affect it.
What were the silly things?
Okay, so who do they take on this mission?
Odo and O'Brien.
Well, I would start with Sisko. What? Why is he suddenly a spy?
Why are any of them suddenly spies?
And then he recruits his own guys? So Odo, whose life is currently in ruins, Worf, a known exile of the Empire.
That didn't make any sense.
And O'Brien, who's an engineer, not a spy.
None of them being there makes sense, but Worf bothered me the most.
Worf
is an outcast. He's known. They would spot his face.
He's spent personal time with Martok back in Way of the Warrior. So as soon as Martok walks in and they sort of say, oh no, he's going to recognize us, you think, well, he's going to recognize Worf for sure.
Having longer hair doesn't do much to conceal your face.
Oh, it conceals your ears, though.
Well, he doesn't have ears.
I was meaning to bring this up because a while back you said eventually we'll find out if Klingons have ears or never see them or whatever. There's a lot of Klingons in this episode. That means there's a lot of potential for ear viewing.
Did you spot an ear?
Yes and no.
I have to hear more.
Okay, none of the actual Klingons that appeared on screen had visible ears as far as I can tell. I mean, I wasn't sitting frame by frame, but I didn't spot any. However, there were statues of Klingons in the Great Hall.
Okay.
And one of them is a statue of Chang from Undiscovered Country, I think, who is bald and thus has visible ears.
Ah, I missed that.
So there is a statue with visible ears. You can see it over Gowron's shoulder at one point near the end.
Artistic license.
Yeah, he's giving the awards. Oh, so yeah, that's the thing. It's a statue, so you can't rightfully say within Deep Space Nine canon, but that confirms Klingons have ears.
It confirms that the sculptor wanted the statue to have ears. That's all we know.
They do have ears, though.
Nope.
I'm starting to doubt it myself, even though their ears have been seen in other Star Trek series. Well, General Chang has ears. He's a rarity, I guess.
He's an anomaly.
What the hell are those things on the side of your head? The use of Gul Dukat with his bird of prey that he captured back in Return to Grace, maybe, was a lovely little plot idea.
Any excuse to get Dukat into the mix is a great idea.
Yeah, he just decided to leave them there. I gave a perfectly valid explanation why that was a good thing to do.
His reasoning was sound. It sounds horrible. Oh, I'm going to leave. But then he makes a convincing case.
He also blew up the other Klingon ship, which was, I think, the right thing to do.
The other option was, let's have them look at Worf and hope they don't realize he's a pariah.
And no in exile.
Maybe that will slip by them.
But the stakes were far too high. They should have just taken the path which had the greatest chance of victory, which is what Dukat did.
It's hard to fault him for his actions in this episode.
Yeah, they're infiltrating an enemy military. They should be prepared to do that sort of thing. I'm not saying they should go out of their way to blow up other Klingons, but if the mission is in jeopardy, they should be prepared to take lethal action. But apparently none of them were willing to do it. Even Worf was like, oh, well, yeah, we'll just flub our way through. But Dukat and his little Smithers, who is called Damar, who is back, actually. He was in Return to Grace as well, wasn't he? Although I think he didn't have a name then, I don't think.
So now we have a name to the face.
Yeah, Damar. He's a nice guy. I wanted to nuke them from orbit. Another thing that bugs me about this episode is they casually walk around discussing the secret plan.
Yeah.
They're discussing it in Quark's bar. They're talking to Dukat about it whilst walking along the promenade. And you can see a regular Starfleet dude in the background, like about 2 meters away, listening, watching them, Kira and Dukat talking.
That's all right. It's not as if the plan relies on secrecy.
But any one of them could be a changeling as well. Although the changelings wanted them to do it, so they would probably just stay low.
The big reason why it bothers me that Odo was brought along for this mission is actually sort of pointed out by Jake. He talks about how you could tell about people's moods just by how they walk in the promenade. And it's so true how we communicate so much non-verbally. And then the whole time, Odo looks worried. His eyes are darting around. His chin is down. He does not look like a Klingon, and he would stick out like a sore thumb. He would compromise the mission immediately.
You would not send a spy on a mission if they were so emotionally distraught. There's no chance of them succeeding.
Hey, your entire life was disrupted. Let's send you on this mission.
We get to make you into a Klingon. That's a bit like shapeshifting, isn't it? Do you feel better now?
I understand he wants to make him feel useful and all that, but this is a terrible way to do it. Klingons can't look meek or anything like that.
Cisco mixing vital espionage with team building exercises.
We're gonna come out of this so friendly and lovely. It'll be great.
The synergy will be unbelievable. Our productivity will be through the roof.
Although Cisco shouldn't be making these kind of risks where there's a good chance he'll die and he's a captain. But we've already seen how he loves to disappear into roles, and he quickly takes to being a Klingon.
Oh, he was having fun with it.
Yes, very much so.
To go back to the Cisco is a psychopath hypothesis, this episode is quite a decent chunk of evidence because he was having a laugh for about 75% of this.
He's mostly smiles, and he gets into a contest of strength, does not hesitate to attack people.
Acting. Maybe afterwards they complimented his performance, like, you were really a believable Klingon, good acting. And he sort of says, well, acting?
What are you talking about?
I was just letting loose.
I really like that the mission seems to fail because of Odo. He would be the one to mess up here. And then he redeems himself for discovering the true changeling. I liked that they set it up for him to fail, that he self-sabotaged himself and then still came out on top. Thought that was really well done.
Self-sabotaged himself.
So, yes.
I'm surprised O'Brien didn't mess it up. He was really awkward a lot of the time. Although, I wonder if that's because he apparently hated the prosthetics and the makeup.
Oh, is that a thing? Is that known?
Yeah, he absolutely despised it. Which kind of makes sense because we always say he's a face actor.
We praise his face often, and he makes great use of it. And once you restrict it, that limits what he can do as an actor.
Yeah, it'd be like tying his hands together. Okay, so O'Brien is to face as Gowron is to eyes.
Yes.
The makeup and prosthetics is also the reason they didn't take Dax, because Terry Farrell can't handle her skin, was allergic to that sort of stuff.
So was the plan to have Dax, and then they discovered that?
No, they already knew this from previous episodes. She has fancy skin that is weak to many things. So they knew they weren't going to put her in Klingon prosthetic. But in terms of the plot, it makes very little sense that they don't take Dax, who has extensive knowledge of the Klingon Empire, yet is not a known face because it was Curzon who learned all that stuff.
They should have made some excuse for her not to accompany them, because she would be she's the most equipped to handle that mission.
Yeah, she'd probably be on par with Worf, to be honest, in terms of knowledge. And she doesn't have the face of a known traitor of the Empire, so she would be probably at the number one spot. Apart from Cisco, who's mental enough to do it, so he would get the number one spot, obviously. But no, instead she just gets another new hairstyle and says 1 or 2 lines.
She shows off the prototype.
Yes, the important job of reading a Word document out aloud, or PowerPoint presentation or something.
She's that person who does a presentation and doesn't contribute anything more than what's already on the PowerPoint. It's just simply read. There's no added value.
Yeah, more or less. So I wonder if that's setting the tone for season 5. Dax will continue to be cast aside.
I hope not. As Ducat said, let's not spoil this moment with predictions of doom. I want to believe this will be a great season. They've already shown us that they can do a great season. That's where the bar is now. And so I expect great things.
But if you have high expectations, you're more likely to be burned.
I have high expectations, but then I'm also excited to see what they come up with. Even if they fall short of where my expectations are, I'm confident in their abilities to show me more of this world.
Every season has a clunker. Every show has a season. When that clunker rears its ugly head, you're gonna say, "Oh, it hurts so bad because my expectations were high."
They're not super high.
Oh, well, okay then.
Not unreasonably high.
Well, yeah, I didn't think that you were coming into this thinking, right, okay, it's going to be like The Godfather, it's going to be Shawshank Redemption every episode.
This must be the greatest show ever made and conceived. Every single episode.
I don't have a life-changing experience. I am not watching it any further.
This must cause a paradigm shift in my thinking in how I evaluate my life in the world.
In every episode.
Every episode.
26 times in this season, my life must be turned upside down. It's a strong start, to be fair. It adds a lot to the world and to the rising conflict with the Dominion. Get it? Apocalypse Rising, because it's the title.
Got it.
Yep.
One moment that was really funny to me was when Ducat saw that Kira is pregnant and she says, O'Brien is the father, without any further explanation, content to let Ducat just sit there and be confused.
That's harsh as well, because O'Brien's actually married to Keiko, and Ducat had a child out of wedlock. So now he's thinking, dang, I should have been a human. Apparently they're cool with this.
I guess it is off color when you evaluate it that way.
Oh, I'm sure Kira would say worse things to Ducat if the show wasn't to fit a certain rating. Why didn't they take Garrick on this mission?
Do you want the real reason, or what reason are you looking for? The in-universe reason?
I was just thinking about Ducat, and then my mind went on to Garrick. He's surely a good choice for this mission.
We need some spies. Should we get the known spy?
The guy who's prepared to do what it takes to finish the mission at any cost.
This is no mission for a tailor.
We wouldn't take him. Let's instead take an exile, a guy whose life is shattered, and a random engineer. Then again, Garrick might not really care. He's kind of big on Cardassia, not so much on the Klingons. Although they are at war with Cardassia, so why didn't they take Garrick?
He had too many rush order dresses to him.
He's hemming like his life depends on it.
One really nice touch in this episode is when Odo is speaking in the beginning and he's about to say, "You humanoids," his typical rant, beginning to a rant. And then he stops himself and then he realizes what he was about to say and who he is. And then he changes it to "we humanoids." And that's a hard thing to process.
The scene with him staring into the bubbles in the beer, I'm glad they gave that the length that it needed. And to be honest, Reen Aubergenois, or however you say his name, his acting in this episode was very good. I mean, he's a good actor, but after 4 seasons of playing a guy who's a brick wall, to see him come out of his shell like this suddenly, it was good. And I'm so glad that they fleshed that out at the beginning. rather than laying it on with action at the end. They kind of paced that nicely.
Yes, they did. And it's good they gave it the time it needed. It needed, that scene needed to breathe, and it did, because it's all about introspection and being with yourself and what that means. So, well done.
Good job.
So, I don't usually watch this show with headphones, but this time I did out of chance. And they did a good job with the sound of the bubbles in the beginning. I don't know if that came across if you don't watch it with headphones.
You know, before I became a solid, I never heard that. I had no sense of taste, so I never paid much attention to food or drink. I had no idea how seductive they could be. Would you like me to get you a glass?
I'm on duty.
I always watch things with headphones because headphones are better than speakers.
Yes, they are. I'm just too lazy. But I wanted to point out the sound design was good, and I think the clinking of the glass and pouring of the drink was exaggerated as well. Maybe
Well, yeah, because they're talking about it. Listen to the
yeah.
sound of these bubbles. No, can't really hear them.
That would be kind of funny.
It seems like Odo might be slightly big on the alcohol.
I expect him to be a raging alcoholic.
I don't think they would put that in a Star Trek show.
Yeah. But that's clearly where he would go.
Well, maybe. And it seems like the kind of direction he is going. Or at least I could understand if someone who had such a hard event in their life would get enthusiastic about alcohol for a bit. I mean, Star Trek likes to deal with a lot of subjects and social things, but alcoholism is maybe a little touch on the hard and depressing side.
I could see them handling it well. I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to go in that direction and then were told not to, and they were vetoed. We've seen this show tackle some pretty difficult subjects.
I kind of want to talk about Babylon 5, but you've not seen that, and it would spoil a bunch of things. But there's a similar plotline that deals with addiction in that show. And there's a lot of concurrencies between Babylon 5 and Deep Space Nine. Some say it's a conspiracy. So if Odo does get a bit lashed on the bevy, then they're ripping it from Babylon 5. So, do you have some season 5 fresh words from the show?
I do. What's done is done. Brooding about it isn't going to change anything, and shirking your responsibilities isn't going to make you feel better about yourself.
Whoa. Shirking responsibilities is the number one way I feel good about myself.
Temporarily. It's not a lasting feeling better.
No, I have to shirk them even harder when I start to feel bad again.
You just have to learn to shirk better.
Yes, it's like snowballing. It just gets more and more, and you have to shirk harder and harder. I thought Sisko was taking a fairly hardline approach with Odo there. There was no real sympathy.
I don't care what you're going through. You have to do this.
Yeah, get over it. God, it's in the past. Think about the future.
You have a job to do. I don't care about your inner turmoil.
I mean, what if it had been something like a family member had passed away, and he sat down and went, "Come on, get over it."
They're dead. Being sad about it isn't going to bring them back.
It's kind of what he's doing. A major part of Odo's life has died. So, Sisko, come on. Give him a hug.
It's equivalent to the death of a close one. It's the death of a self that he can't identify with anymore.
Yes, in a sense, he would be grieving. I know if I could change into stuff and then couldn't, I would be devastated. I'm a little bit devastated that I can't right now.
What
I've
would you
never-
change into right now?
Oh my goodness. I can't even say. This podcast would become explicit.
Let's not explore that then.
Maybe the next episode, Odo will get that hug he so sorely needs.
One day.
And maybe Cisco will kill a bunch of people.
Not even maybe. I will. I'm good. There's no way that's not going to happen.
There will be deaths, and Cisco's hands will have blood on them in some sense.
Yes, 100% chance.
Well, let's find out if you're right.
All right.